So a hack and slash roguelite that has Japanese aesthetics that cross paths with a futuristic robot environment? That sounds pretty metal. Thank you to Ubisoft for providing me access to this game. I am a Ubisoft partner and I would love to tell you all about my experiences with the first 8 hours of Morbid Metal. In this preview, I hope to encapsulate everything that I've found in the first 8 hours and what you need to succeed and what you need to know about the game itself. Coming from someone that doesn't traditionally go for roguelike games, this game was one of the ones that I looked at and said, I think the combat is enough for me to want to give it a try, and I wanted to find out what elements that it brings to the table in a genre that is on the rise as of late. It seems to be a modern element in games these days of a jump in, get things done, hop out and move on situation where we've got battle royales, we've got extraction shooters, we've got roguelites. It's just something that keeps the player invested and gives them another reason to jump back into one more run. So in saying that, what is Morbid Metal? Morbid Metal is a single player game that pits you against increasing waves of difficulty in an environment that changes ever so slightly with upgrades that you can get in every single battle, and you can also change the flow of combat with the 3 different characters that you can actually get through the game. So when you start your adventures, you're going to be thrown into the mix as Flux. Flux is the fast-moving samurai type character. His move set is all about speed. It's about juggling enemies. It's about getting behind people and dealing a lot of damage quickly. You have a secondary character called Echo, which is a hard-hitting, damage-dealing character. Bit of a tank, bit of a slow-moving character, but it's also fast in terms of something that you'll see compared to other games. Even though he is a tank, he can dodge quick, he can get behind enemies, he can inflict damage fast, but also it's something that is a crowd control type of character as well. And then the last character is Vector. Vector is the character that you get later on in the game. So you're really going to be starting your experience with the 2 characters just to start with. So the first 10 so runs you're going to be doing, maybe longer, maybe less, maybe more, like depends how good you are in the game. You're going to be focusing on the first 2 characters. But Vector is a airborne character. It's also about a slower paced crowd control situation, and it's about buffing the other 2 characters, in my opinion. It's not necessarily a character that you would be maining per se, but you could jump into every single combat with them, start up, and then switch to the other characters. Because that's one of the most amazing things about this game. All 3 characters, when you have them unlocked, are available for the entire run. You don't just pick a character and go in there into a run and then figure it out as you go. You chain the characters as you move. You jump in as Flux, you dash into the combat, you inflict a bunch of damage, you jump over to Echo, and then you smash the ground and you stun the enemies, and you can jump over to Vector, and then Vector can poison everyone in there and then float them off the ground. It can bring enemies down to the ground. It's about speed. It's about how you can influence the combat between the 3 characters and manage their abilities to the best of your ability. But it's all well and good to have 3 different characters with 3 different styles of combat. If each individual one is not fun to play as, it's not well worth switching between them. So if you really break it down, you could do an entire run with Flux. You could do an entire run with Echo, and you could also do an entire run with Vector. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. And in fact, it would put the challenge on the player to go through and be able to create a incredible run in your style with that one particular character. So it does give you options as a player to set your own challenges as you want to venture forth through this Morbid Metal adventure. And it was initially a little bit of a stall in terms of like, how do I use these 2 against each other? And then when I figured out that I could use Echo to stun the enemies, and then I can flick back to Flux, and then I could do some very fast damages. And while he's doing that, Echo is in his own little cocoon, I should say, like, or wherever he goes, and he has his own abilities that are continuing to charge meanwhile while I'm using Flux. So then you start getting into the complexity of this ability buffs this ability, because you can get upgrades through the game, which is after every single battle that you go through, every single arena you go into, you get to choose from 3 different abilities. You get to choose from 3 different things that can influence the game, the run, whatever you want to call it, and that can also boost how your characters interact with each other. It depends on what you want and how you proceed through the battlefield. There is an upgrade that specifically says that Flux will do more damage to stunned enemies. And how do you stun enemies? You use Echo and you use the Ground Slam. But you also might forego the Ground Slam ability because the Ground Slam ability has a 13-second cooldown. And you might want to go for a ability that does a little bit less damage, but you can use it more often. So that means you could use Echo for longer. So you wouldn't use him to jump in there, break some shields, stun some enemies, smash the ground. You could have him in there to do a bit more damage and continue the fight with him without having to worry about when you get 13-second cooldown. It's addictive. It's very well thought out. And the pool right now, given this game is technically early access, is not so expansive that you're every single run you're finding stuff that doesn't like influence the other one. You're finding stuff that is impactful. Given the fact that like each run is about 20 minutes or so, if you wanted to go through and you want to explore, because there is things to explore as well, because there's not just getting ability upgrades flat out from combat. You can also jump into a side little area. You can break through a wall to do that. You can find a little jumping path to jump across there. You might have seen something shining over there and you said, yeah, I want that over there, and you can jump over there, and that also upgrades your abilities that you have. So you can have the protocols, which is just your abilities, which is you only have 3 of them. You have 2 main abilities, and then you have like a special ability. And you could find options to upgrade those so that those ones either cool down faster or those ones do more damage. You got to be careful about what you want to pick and how you want to take out the enemies. There are going to be flying enemies, there's going to be ground enemies, there's going to be little grunts, there's going to be big brutes, there's going to be shielded like ads as well. So it all depends how you want to go through there, because I got really annoyed with the little flying guys that would turn up in every single arena. And when I would start, I would run into the arena, the combat would start, it would lock me in there, I would immediately jump up in the air with Flux and just start attacking these little guys up there. There is this one section in the game, I call it the Devil's Dance Floor. It's this tiny square that's, if you get it late in the run, the ad density has ramped up significantly. The ads are also like increasing per fight, so you would be coming across guys with shields, guys that hit hard. You got little floating guys that float off the arena. You got to figure out how to do aerial combat, so you can dodge and then jump in the air and fly over there and then hit him and then get back in the arena before you fall down. There's so much complexity, and this one little Devil's Dance Floor, the devs, you must have had a devilish grin if you put this in, because it absolutely paid off. It absolutely made me stop when I walked into a room and I saw that Devil's Dance Floor over there and thought, I've had a great run until this point, and this is about to throw me off my game. And I say this because the game isn't inherently difficult. The grunts and like the level 1s that you come across in the first area, there could only be 3 or 4 in the arena, and then there's like 2 little flying guys and they're low level. You can take them out real quick. You can literally walk into there and then smash the burst fight in 30 seconds, grab an upgrade, and off you go. Then you get about 4 or 5 rooms in there, and the ad density has jumped up a little bit. The types of ads have jumped up a bit, so they're tougher, they're harder to take down. It changes the way that you want to use your abilities, and it also changes on what upgrades you want to grab early on. So each area that you enter, you will have multiple options. If you wanted to go this way, you can actually go and find new protocols, you can find upgrades, you can find credits that you would like to take into the main menu and purchase permanent upgrades. You can go from 100 health when you start the game all the way up to 200 health. You increase the different tiers of what you want to find. You get to a Emporium section of the level where it's literally a shop, and you can upgrade and influence what you want in the shop when you get credits from the main game, and then you can put it into the main menu, and then you can have influences of what's going to be in the Emporium. You have in-game nano chips that are spent to upgrade certain things in every single run. You can get abilities so that you earn more nano chips if that's more important to you. If you think that you are going to be buying stuff that you want to be focusing more on that side of things, you can grab those upgrades so that you're going to be getting more kills and get more nano chips, so that you can actually buy more stuff when you get to the Emporium. If buying more stuff isn't as important to you, that's okay. You can also change it so that you do more damage, so that your abilities come back faster. You can genuinely say that the upgrades, the permanent upgrades that you take from the main menu into each run, it's incredibly impactful the more that you invest into them. This game really personifies the one more run mentality, because I went through 5 iterations, and that's a run, like in the game's terms, they're called iterations. I went through 5 iterations before I hit the final boss of the first arena, and that guy kicked my ass immediately. Like, I didn't really know what to say. When I saw him, I was like, oh, this is really, really cool. Dodged a couple of times, he'd hit the ground twice, and I was dead. Instant. And I was shocked. I was like, oh my god. But then I jumped in for another 5 iterations, and I got to the boss 2 more times. And then I got through the first phase of the boss. And then I was like a fish out of water when I hit the second phase, because I wasn't prepared for it. I didn't know what to expect when I came to the second phase. And then I died on that one. And then I went back to the drawing board again, and I tried to figure out what I need to succeed in this environment? What is the game going to offer me as a player that would benefit how I play the game? What I learned from my runs and in my experiences were that I needed to go on the offshoots to find the additional challenges that I could find special abilities, such as one that gives you 2% health back when you are killing an enemy. Because I was finding that I would do fantastic. Like I would have 3 or 4 rooms where I could actually go flawless, like I wouldn't be touched. And then if I lost my concentration for 2 seconds, I could be cut down and I could get a quarter of my health taken out, all the way down to half. And it's something that as simple as, if I can earn my health back to get to the final boss with all of my health, and I didn't have to spend any nano chips in the Emporium to buy some health, then I could use that to upgrade my stuff. And when I got to the boss, I'd be full health and I'd be stronger. For some people that actually want to forego that and have got to the level where they're not getting hit, you can actually forfeit health as well in the Emporium, and it gives you nano chips so that you can get stronger. So if you wanted to really lean into the fantasy of going fast, striking hard, killing everything you can see fast and efficiently, and you're not getting hurt, then you can do that. You can literally just give up your health, give me more nano chips, and I can just throw it at the store and get incredibly overpowered by the time I even get to the first boss. So it does cater to multiple styles that you would see in different gamers. You would see people that are a little bit more cautious, that are going to go into each environment and go a little bit slower. And it's interesting the way that they've implemented the ranking system in terms of combat and runs as well, because it rewards you for trying different things. It rewards you for complexity in your strategies that you want to do. If you're doing the same move over and over again, the F through to triple S tier system isn't going to budge. If you are continually switching up your combat style, if you wanted to go from Flux's fast, impactful moves, and then you can throw the blades across the room, and then jump over to Echo, stun the enemies, and then jump over to Vector as well, and bring down the flying enemies as well, your ranking system goes very, very fast. It was an incredible feeling to get a triple S score for the very first time, and individual fights it also ranks it, because I got a triple S ranking just for one particular combat, and it felt amazing. It was really, really cool to see that. As someone that gets worried when they see the letter tier system when I played games like Devil May Cry, and it was really difficult to juggle enemies and try and keep that score going crazy, this one is accessible. It's not scary, and it also lets you approach it how you want to do, because each run is timed. It will give you a scoreboard at the end of it. It'll tell you how many enemies you killed. It will tell you how long you're in there. It will tell you your overall rank, but it doesn't matter. So that one there is a challenge that you put on yourself. At the end of it, I can feel good that I got to the end of the first run with 15 minutes on the scoreboard, or I could go through the entire thing and not deviate from the path and get to the end in 5-10 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really matter too much. Like, it doesn't matter if you go from here to here. It doesn't take away your score if you take longer in between areas. So you can jump into a combat zone, you can take out everything in there, and then you can relax. You can let your heart settle, and you can regroup yourself. You say what worked, what didn't work, and it's not going to impact your score, because the score will only jump up and down when you enter combat. So it's nice. It's a little reprieve and nice accessibility to players that want to actually enjoy the environment. I talk so much about the gameplay itself, but the environments, it's like a dystopian vision, like a simulation situation where you have islands that are floating that you're jumping between, but the aesthetic is really, really nice because it's a Japanese themed architecture, but it's also cross paths with the futuristic robot element to it as well. You're in the Emporium and the main menu, and it looks like you're inside a computer simulation. You're walking up to these giant robots that are actually hanging from the ceiling with this gnarly, sharp, crazy looking architecture designed to them themselves that really makes you feel like you're in the Matrix, almost how fast you can go. You got the perfect dodges. The music is great. The music really gets you pumping. It does this scratch when you finish a combat to let you know that you've won, so you can get through individual fights, and then once you finish it, it's does this little guitar riff, and then it just ends, and then it goes a little bit silent, and then lets you enjoy the world again, so you can actually run through. It's a cool environment. The last run that I did of the day, the second day that I was doing it, 8 hours into this thing, I got greedy. I did a challenge in the last run, which forced me to change my character every 5 seconds. So I had to change form every 5 seconds, and I couldn't quite master that one while focusing on what the enemies were. And it was at the end of my run, so the ad density was up, the enemies were hitting harder. I was pretty stacked with what I had, and I got greedy. I went in there to try and find one last ability before I got to the boss, and I died. And I was like, do I step away or do I dive back in? And I jumped back into one more run, and this was the God run. This was the run that you tell your friends and family about, where I found extra upgrades in there. I got my health away to 220. I got the heal early on with a challenge so that I would get 2% back, so that any mistakes that I made along the way, I could fix it by continually killing ads. I got perfect upgrades in terms of weapons that came through that synergized with the builds that I wanted, so that I could go between my two characters, so that it would buff one and then go to the others. And by the time I'd finished using the abilities of one guy, I could switch to the other guy. It was incredible. It was a god run. And then I got to the boss, and I went through the first phase flawless. And then in the second phase, I got in there, and I took a few hits, but I understood the mechanics at the time. The game is fair. It challenges you. It asks you to remember. And then when I got to the third phase, I just went all in. I just threw everything at the wall. Every ability that I had, consistently going in there, dodging like crazy, and eventually took him down. And that was my first time that I got to phase 3. And the elation that I felt when I got that kill was incredible. It felt so rewarding, because this was an 8-hour journey to get to this stage. So this game is right now in early access, and what I want to say about that is that there is already 4 major updates planned for 2026. What they plan to do for the major updates is they're going to be adding in environments, they're going to be adding in brand new weapons, they're going to be adding in new protocols, they're going to be adding new enemies. There's no definitive timeline on when this becomes full access, but they will be updating us along the way. They are a very, very intuitive company that wants to be involved with their audience as they grow. Again, I would like to mention that I am a Ubisoft partner, and they did provide me access to this game to create this content. My thoughts are my own, my experiences are my own, and what I'm telling you is exactly what I want you to hear, like in terms of how I perceived the game and how I played it. So that's everything from me for the terms of my preview of Morbid Metal. I won't be giving a score right now, because there is so much more on the roadmap for this game, and we want to have a full review out in good time when the game actually reaches a full launch and has everything to offer. But overall, this is a very accessible game. This is a very good price entry for the type of game that it is. It has a high ceiling, it has a lot of updates that are coming out, and it has a lot of reasons for you to want to jump back in for one more run. I would like to know what your experiences were with the game, how far you got, and what you want from this game. But thank you very much for watching. My name is Fletcher, and I'll see you next time.